Alright, today we're going to do a little preventive maintenance. We got a little hydrostatic drive, CK3510 Kioti. What we're going to do is I'm going to pop the hood here. I've let it run for about 10 minutes. And what we'll do is I'll pull the hood up. I had already pulled the lever to pop it. It's down there on the left hand side when you're standing in front of it by the battery. It's right there. So I pulled that, popped that, we got the hood up. Like I said, I let it run for about 10-15 minutes. And now, if you look under here, there's actually two drain plugs. And let me see if I can get a good view here. There we go. And the drain plugs themselves are 17 millimeter. So I'll yank them out. Comes the first one. This thing takes about 1.6 gallons of engine oil. Let me see here. Make sure we're getting this on the camera here. We'll turn her a little bit, get a little better view here. And I'll yank this other plug. Alright, that one we lost, the little gasket fell in. I heard it drop. Here it is. Now I stuck my hands in that diesel oil. But the little gasket, you got to make sure you don't lose these, or you're going to get an oil leak. And you know, you don't have to, but I usually try and replace them like every other year. It's a cheap part. I mean, I know people that never ever change them. You may never have an issue. But just to be safe, because I haul this thing way up to Michigan, I don't want any issues up there. And I can usually run it about a season without having to do the oil change. So every other year is my plan for replacing those. Well, I'll let it drain now. Give her a couple minutes here and let her drain. Alright, oil's all drained out. Now we'll put the drain plugs back in. Basically just spin them in clockwise here. Now I'm not sure the exact spec, and it doesn't say in the owner's manual for torque wise, but basically a person just has to keep it in perspective. I mean, you're not holding the engine together with these things. I mean, they're holding in oil that's not under pressure. So basically I just snug them up and give them a little tug. You definitely don't want to be cranking too tight on them, because like I said, all they're doing is holding the oil in there, and the gasket's doing most of the work. So as long as you get it fairly snug, it's good to go. Okay, we'll get the second plug in here. And you always want to start these by hand for sure. Alright, now the oil plugs are in. What we'll do is now we have to do the engine oil filter. Alright, now we'll do the engine oil filter. Move the drain pan underneath it. Got just a cheap little Blue Point. They make these kind of oil filter removers and multiple different brands. I just bought these because these is what the Snap-on man had, and he came around work. And one thing that's kind of nice about them is they have little gription on the inside, and a lot of them, like, I'm sure these are made in China too, but a lot of them are just smooth in there, and sometimes they can slip. Not that these don't slip every now and then, but every little bit helps. Okay, the oil filter's off. The seal's still on. I've never had the issue on a tractor, but I know on cars I've had the issue where sometimes that little rubber gasket that's on the oil filter there stays stuck on. And I've never done it, but I've seen other people where they screw another one on right on top of it. I don't know how they do that, but they do it, and then it causes a big oil leak. A thing on this, you know, I always double check to make sure the filter numbers are the same, so I'm putting the right filter on. That I'm sure that I'm putting the right filter on, and I'll go get the other filter. And the numbers match up. I'll let this drain for a little bit, and then we'll come back and put this on. Alright, now we got the new oil filter here. What I'm going to do is I dip my finger in the new oil, and then I rub the new oil onto the seal there. Kind of wipe my finger off. Clean this off here. Okay. And then we'll spin this on here. And you spin it on clockwise. And usually you spin it on till it touches. And then you give it like 3/4 to a full turn. There we go. Good to go. Yeah, I think that went on that side of that. I didn't pay attention. Alright, so the filter's on. Now we gotta add oil. I already took the cap off. The cap was right here. We'll adjust the camera here. Alright, can we see that? Not the greatest, huh? So the cap is right here, right below the fuel filter. So I spun the cap off. I'm going to set that there. I got a funnel here. I like these funnels. They have little threaded caps that go on each end. to keep the funnel itself clean on the inside, but I still end up spraying her out with brake clean or carb clean every once in a while. So here's the end of the funnel. I got it stuck down in there. And what we're going to put in is Rotella 1540 diesel oil. On the owner's manual, it says you can use 1030, 1040, or 1540, but for running in the summer and working her hard, I wouldn't go with anything other than 1540. So I'll add the oil here. See, not sure if I can get a good spot to get a decent video of adding oil. And the first jug, you're gonna pour her in here. She's gonna take a little time. Oil's a little thick. I probably could have sped it up by having the oil in the house instead of sitting outside, because it's probably mid-40s today. So what I'll do, since this might take a little while, I'll add the oil and then I'll come back. Alright, we've got in 7.5 quarts right now. We will screw the cap on, start it up, and then we'll check the level and see where we're at. So we just start her up. Let the oil circulate a little bit. Alright, now we'll climb down. Okay. And your dipstick, I'm not anticipating it to be full here. See if I can get this on there in a way where we can all see it. Okay, so the dipstick is, well, that was for naught. Right here. So we'll yank that dipstick out and we'll see where we're at. Okay, we'll aim that forward. Okay, so the dipstick's right there. We yank it out, clean her off here, feed her back in, push it till it seats, and then we'll hold her up here, see where we're at. So we're about midway, so I would guess we're still a quarter too short, but you always want to check. You don't want to overfill it, because then you got to let some out, because overfilling can be bad too. It can aerate your oil, and it's not good. It's just not good. It's better just to follow the manufacturer's recommendation and do it right. So I add a little more oil here. Again, I'll pull this cap off up in here, which you spin counterclockwise to take off. This is what it looks like. It says oil on it even. But yeah, don't need to add much more, I don't think. But now when I check it, I won't have to restart it, because anything that would have went into the filter would be in there now, so that should be good. Again, the oil, I didn't have it in the house to warm it up, so it's taking a little while. But part of the oil change, you know, a person's got to go around and do a general once over And then, you know, you want to make sure that your oil filter isn't leaking, that you're not seeing leaks anywhere else, that your coolant, which mine is a little low here, that your coolant ain't low. You want to make sure your belts aren't cracked. They actually have a spec in the manual there, or the owner's manual, for the deflection rate. A lot of little maintenance things. I'm going to go through and do all the maintenance today, and I just wanted to do a video on the oil change, and maybe I'll do another video on changing that fuel filter out, and then a few of the little quirks of this tractor. Like one of the quirks, these bolts right here, they vibrate out on almost all of these while you're using the tractor. So I got some blue Loctite, and I'm gonna take these bolts all out, clean them up, put some blue Loctite on them, and put them back in there. And hopefully that solves this issue, because I just started having that issue last year. But yeah, I'm gonna clean this up and everything before I grease it. Another thing you really ought to do at oil change time, take this out. I already did it. I washed the radiator out and everything with water, sprayed it down. You can use compressed air, like when I'm up north I use compressed air. You definitely want to take your air filter out, check it out, see what kind of condition it's in. If it's dirty, I mean, you can usually get by, I don't know if they recommend it or not, but a guy can usually get by blowing them out a couple times. But I would imagine the manufacturer just recommends you replace it. Anything else I can check while that oil drains in there? Basically, a guy just checking over, and well, like right here, you can see this bolt here is loose, and there's this one too. This one's loose. For whatever reason, those things, they vibrate loose. I haven't had any issues with the lug nuts vibrating loose, but I check them. You know, I can't be too safe on that stuff. The bolts vibrated out of my slow moving sign. I got to bolt that back on. So guy, definitely on these little homeowner tractors, you definitely have to go through and make sure everything stays tight. And like these, for the connect, you really want to, I'll take the bucket off and keep them lubed up. I mean, you don't want them getting sticky, because otherwise you'll be swearing every time you go to drop that bucket and put on like pallet forks or something, which I change in between, because the pallet forks they're just plain handy. Okay, we cleaned it off, we put it back in, checking it. Well, we only moved up about a 1/4 inch, so I got to put another little splash in there. But you get the picture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it till that line of oil there is probably within about a 1/4 inch of this little notch, and I'll get that taken care of, and she'll be good to go as far as the oil change part of it. And I don't know what else I can say about doing oil change on this thing, so I'll end the video right there for that. Thanks for watching.